Alright everyone, so I have some more new info to share with you guys about the upcoming fusion, and I know there are some images out there with the skill kit for the upcoming legendary fusion, and I will say that the images that you guys have seen are actually old images with the old skill kit, and there are actually some new additions and new images that I have to share with you guys today. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, and most notably, the passive is actually way crazier than you probably thought it was. So here we go. You can see there is a lot of additional detail added to it. I believe the old images only have the part at the very end that says this champion can place debuffs on weak hits, which is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think we've actually seen a champion that has a similar effect like that. Now I also want to give a major shout out to Panda Killer because he is the individual who provided these screenshots, and in addition to the updated skills, I also have the damage multipliers to share with you guys as well, so you'll be able to use those to give you a better understanding of how much DPS you're actually going to be able to see from this champion. So thank you very much, and if you're newer to the channel, Panda Killer has provided information like this before, which has turned out to be accurate and correct, so pretty reliable, and I am really impressed with this skill right here. This is actually insane how much stuff you actually get from her debuffs. Now, I will back it up here in a second. We'll take a look at her other skills, because if you're wondering, this passive here is really all about debuffs, and she has a crazy skill that is going to allow you to place an insane amount of debuffs on the enemies that you are facing. So yes, she's going to get all the benefit from her passive. You don't need to rely on another champion with debuffs. She has a skill that does that all on her own. So let's back it up to the very beginning of the actual passive here. No Escape decreases each enemy's accuracy by 10 for each debuff they are under. So that's pretty cool, because what that does is with the insane amount of debuffs that she's going to be able to place, now you're going to make it even more difficult for your enemies to do anything by placing their debuffs. So you kind of get that chain reaction where she gets stronger because your enemies are getting weaker as she applies debuffs. So very cool. Alright, now the next part of it here, this champion will receive 1% less damage for each debuff on the enemy team. Stacks up to 50%. Now, if you're worried about maybe this number is not really going to get too high, she has a lot of debuffs. We'll see that skill in a second here, but extra damage reduction means she's going to get even tankier, and once again, you kind of end up with that chain reaction where, you know, not only are you debuffing your enemies, but you're also making her more tanky, harder to kill, and you just get a lot stronger as a result. Next is the heal. Heals this champion by 1250 HP each time a debuff expires on an enemy. I don't know if that actually activates if you refresh the debuffs though. So the last part now has a 75% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn on enemies under 5 or more debuffs at the start of this champion's turn. So you can see that all that stuff works really well together, and it's a pretty crazy passive. So the fact that she can also place debuffs on weak hits is awesome as well, because now you don't have to worry about the affinity of the enemies that you're facing. You're going to be able to see a ton of usefulness from this passive. So like I said, let's go ahead and back it up a little bit here and take a look at some of the other images. They also look really nice too compared to the old leaks. So thank you, Panda Killer, for being able to provide these nice detailed images that look good as well. So let's back it up here to this one, and you can see this is just a little bit of a better look at her. You can take a look at her stats as well, and actually something to point out here is the fact that the old leaks and these ones here both have the info right below her legendary tag that she is an attack-based champion. Now this is actually pretty important, because in the content creator Discord, Plarium staff member Ranger Murr actually posted that she was a defense-based champion. This was posted to us the other day. You can see here Faction Barbarians, Rarity Legendary, Affinity Force, and Type Defense. So the fact that the old leaks say attack, the new leaks say attack, the stats line up to make more sense, of course, that she's an attack-based champion. You know, it is very well possible that she did get changed to a defense-based champion, and there's still even more info about her that we do not know. But I would say at that point, that's probably the more unlikely option, and I would say the more likely option is Ranger Murr accidentally posted that she is a defense type champion instead of an attack based champion. Remember, Ranger Murr is of course the Diamond's temporary replacement. Very easy mistake to accidentally make. I think that's a lot more likely than having her be posted twice as attack-based and now all of a sudden be going to defense-based, but we don't know. It's not confirmed. Either or could still happen, but definitely something to take note of. So going back to this right here, we have another one that's got her with her actual shield. And now let's get into her first ability, and that number that you see in the white, that is her multiplier. So very important, she does attack twice. So if it seems like a little bit of a low number, 2.0 is of course a bit low, but it's not low considering that she attacks twice. So attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 40% chance of stealing one random buff from the target. So that's pretty awesome. Now, not only are you placing an insane amount of debuffs, which will be the next skill that you guys see, you're also getting more tanky, you're making it more difficult for your enemies to place debuffs, and she's stealing buffs as well. So she's really got that, like, you know, whole debuff leech type of feel. I think there's another champion, I want to say, is it Dracomorph? I could be mixing it up with somebody else, but I recognize this type of ability right here with another champion that has the ability to steal debuffs specifically on the skill 1, which is the ability that does not have a cooldown. So that's really risky for your enemies, because if it doesn't have a cooldown, every single time she attacks with her auto skill, she has that potential to steal debuffs. You can see that it's going to be increased as well from 40% to 60% with skill books, and you can get it even up to 65% with mastery. So it does have a really high chance of activating. So all right, now moving on to her crazy skill here. There's a lot going on. Look at that. You can just see at a glance. Block buffs, decrease attack, decrease speed, weaken, decrease accuracy, heal reduction. That's a lot of stuff right there. Let's take a look at the skill. Attacks all enemies 3 times. That's crazy. And that's just the start right there. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing one of the following debuffs for 2 turns. This is each hit, by the way. So remember, she attacks. It's an AoE, first of all, so it's hitting all enemies. And each hit is going to have a 50% chance, which can be boosted with the skill books and the passives, or the masteries, all the way up to 80%. Let's see, for 2 turns, a block buffs debuff, a 50% decrease attack debuff, a 30% decrease speed debuff, a 25% weaken debuff, a 50% accuracy debuff, or a 100% heal reduction debuff. That's a lot of stuff. The only extremely noteworthy thing that I saw missing out there was decreased defense. So if you guys have like a super insane decreased defense champion, they're still gonna get a lot of benefit by having this new fusion on the team. Whereas you know, decreased attack, I saw that there. That's a lot of debuffs overall. And she's even got the weaken there. So all right, 1.2 is the actual multiplier, but she attacks, it's an AoE first of all, and she attacks 3 times. So if you actually do the math here, it's 1.2 times 3, so you've got a multiplier of 3.6, which is actually not too bad on an AoE. And then of course you've got the extra damage, the buff debuff chance, and the cooldown reduction with skill book, so you can get that down to a 3-turn cooldown. So very crazy skill right there. All right, now let's see here. This is the actual passive with the new info. I already shared that with you guys. And the very last thing that we have to take a look at is the aura. And actually, I like this aura. At first I saw it and I saw the icon. I'm like, oh, it's an accuracy aura. It's probably going to be bad. It's probably going to be something like accuracy in faction crypts or accuracy in some area of the game that we don't really need. And it's going to be a wasted aura. But it is accuracy in all battles by 80, which is a pretty solid amount right there. So the reason why this is actually significant is because if you do end up using her aura, now you can plan that out on the gear of all of your champions, and now you can essentially gear around having to get 80 less accuracy than you did before. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to mess with the gear and fit in a lot more DPS or survivability or other stats like crit chance, crit damage, more speed, all that sort of stuff, instead of having to worry about getting enough accuracy, which can be a problem. So, you know, you've got the Great Hall, and now if you use her as the aura, you should pretty much have almost all, if not all, the accuracy that you need, even for end game content. So very cool. I am definitely interested to actually see if they end up switching her to a defense-based champion, or if she's going to stay an attack-based champion, and the info that Ranger Mur was just not quite correct. So let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about her skill kit? How many of the Fusion champions do you guys have already? Oh, speaking of that, I have one more thing to share with you guys, because I know I got a couple comments. People asked me that the image that I shared the other day with the Fusion champions it was really difficult to see. So what I actually saw going around was this updated image here that actually has the brightness or the contrast. It's altered so that it's a lot easier to actually make out the details of the champions. So I think it was the champions that people were saying. So Necro Hunter, Basher, Bushi, and Bonekeeper. I think those are the 4 champions. There's obviously still could be off by one, but if you guys have at least some of those champions, the Fusion should be quite a bit easier for you guys. So, you can let me know that in the comments as well. Out of those 4 champions, how many of the Fusion champions do you guys have already, and what are your plans? We'll know more info soon as well, including the schedule for the events and all that sort of stuff, but that is everything I have to share with you guys today. So if you guys enjoyed this video and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It really does mean more than you can imagine. So thank you so much to all of you who take about a quarter second out of your day to quickly press a button to help me out. So thank you so much. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, and all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now, or you may see them in the suggested videos to your right or below. Feel free to check them out. Plenty of videos like this on the channel. But if not, until next time, take care everyone. Have a great day. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.